Hello there, how you doing? Look, I got some cantuccini from Turin. Got some cantuccini from Kim Björn, who's Danish, but who was in Turin. And he came by to talk about his new book, Pedal Crush, which you should get at Thomann when it comes out late November. It's a great book for the pedal enthusiast, but you might not be one of those. A cantuccini. You might not be a pedal enthusiast because you're watching a clickbaity video entitled something about Hotone Ampero versus Mooer GE150. And you know what? I don't do these. I don't do the which one is better video. You fell for it. This is a let's look at some of those modelers video and look at features. Why am I doing this? Well, because I do a lot of pedal demos for Thomann. And so I get a lot of these things on the table. Mooer doesn't really want to work with me. I don't know why. Even though I was in China, had dinner with them, spent time at the factory, and yet they don't call, they don't write. When I ask, hey, you got a good product, can I review this? Nope. Who cares? I get them from Thomann. So these go back. So what you're watching right now is a completely unpaid video. I did film the GE200, and now I had the pleasure of looking at the GE150. And in the same batch of pedals, I looked at the Hotone Ampero. Now, are these comparable? Well, not really, because this is 169, this is 369. Is this a fair video? No! It's not a which one is better. This isn't a flat-out comparison. This is looking at features. So, for 169, I think, you get a multi-effect modeler with amp models, actually amp profiles, because they're using something kind of like the Kemper technology. They're pretty much profiling amps, sticking them in here. There are so many of them. They have amp modeling, cab modeling, effects modeling. There are different, this is stupid. Why am I not putting this on the table here? Let's show this, Leslie. There we go. So here you can see, or you could if I had it turned on. It lights up right here and it shows you the effects blocks. Effects means that's the compressor or something, distortion, amp cap, noise reduction, EQ, modulation, delay, and reverb. Pretty much everything you want. Plus, there's a rhythm thing, and you actually have built-in drums to jam along to. It's got a looper, a kind of little flimsy expression pedal that you can, of course, assign to whatever you want. I never know how to get out of these things here. Literally have no idea. Hello, rhythm. Get away. Here you turn this. It's got an interface with turning knobs, and it's a little bit confusing, and this turns things on and off, which you can see here. But the good thing is, I did the Thomann video, and Thomann's always nice enough to let me use some of that if I want to. So we can listen to some sounds from this, but that's a little bit later. Skip to that. Timing's right there. Now, put that away, Leslie. 169, 2 stompies, expression, has stereo, quarter-inch out, phones, USB, OTG. Don't know what that means. It's a USB, and it has an aux in to jam along with your favorite stuff. I would have loved to have this. As a beginner, I would have loved to have this actually on the go. When I was at Berkeley, sitting in small practice rooms where you can barely turn around, I had a little Korg Pandora, which when you played, about half an hour later, the tone came out. I mean, there's a lot of latency. The sounds were horrible. Having something like this is amazing nowadays. So guitar players that are starting to play now, kids nowadays, you should be super happy. $169. Are the sounds phenomenal? No. But are they pretty damn awesome? Yes. 169. I did fight with the interface a little bit because it's 2 big turning knobs. And you're always fiddling like, where do I need to go? You'll hear sounds in a bit. Next step up from that is the GE200. So I've done my video for that, which I think this one, that's not mine. Right there, we can't hear it right now, but that's me playing around with it. Go to Thomann, check out that video if you want to hear sounds and see how it's operated. The interface is bigger, so it's a little bit easier to play around with. You can push these things directly to turn them on and off, the different elements, but generally speaking, it is the same engine. Now, if we look at, it has 3 stomps, but ins and outs are, well, kind of the same. They're 1/4 inch, 1 in stereo expression. You can put up another expression pedal. Now, this is, in terms of interface, a little bit bigger, but I'm thinking for $100 more, you don't really get a lot more sound. It might have some more amp models, but probably actually not. Now, if we go quite a bit more, we had 700, and then you've got the Mooer GE300, which that looks like they're trying to do Helix with a lot more stomps on 2 levels, which is pretty cool. Bigger screen, loads more control and loads more interface options. And here we have loads more stuff. XLR out, MIDI in and out, which the others do not have. Different input options. I can't really see that. The thing is, I have not... there's a send and return, so it's got a loop. I have not had the pleasure of reviewing this. Again, Mooer hasn't sent me one or commissioned a video, and I have not had this from Thomann because a different company, Bonedo, did the video for it. So I can't tell you more about this thing than what I see here, but 700 is quite the stretch. Okay, then. If it's the same, let me put it this way, if it's the same engine, just more options, it's still decent sounding. Then, of course, there's the Headrush Gigboard, which is a small Headrush. That is $100 cheaper than the Mooer. Has an amazing interface because this is a high-res touchscreen interface. Technically speaking, the Headrush is the DigiDesign 11 rack, just further developed. Only 4 stompies, but nice big colors on it. It's a great build. This here's my video. No, that's Bonedo. Here's my video. So you can go to Thomann and look at that. Really good interface, as you can see. Loads of options and beautiful graphic representation. However, I was not floored by the sounds. They did absolutely not convince me. So the Headrush, to be honest, love the hardware, love the interface, did not like the sounds. Couldn't get anything out of it that didn't sound very, very model-y. The Mooer stuff, bang for the buck, yes. When you're looking at the GE300, that's where it starts to have XLR outs, which is good for going into an interface and being more professional, and more ins and outs, and it has MIDI, more stompies, bigger interface. However, if it's the same engine, 700 for a Mooer product, I don't know. It says it has more amp models. Well, 170 or something? Do I really need that many amp models? No, I need 5 if they're good. You know, if they're great, 10, maybe. So, for me, GE150, 169, now that's a steal. 269 for the GE200, pretty good. GE300, you're getting into territory where you might consider spending more and getting the big kahuna. Now this, of course, is this in competition with this? It is the same concept. 169, 1200. But obviously this is build quality central. Each stomp has its own display on it. This is a tank of an expression pedal. Big ass colorful interface. Obviously all of them have software, but easily controllable interface with the joystick and all this. obviously the Helix is the way to go. Then there's a Helix LT, there's a Helix Stomp, which again, smaller interface, but I can't really comment on those. I haven't played with the Helix. I think it's called the LT. The HX Stomp is $500. Technically same engine, but obviously much reduced user interface. So then we have the Ampero. Now you see a lot of fingerprints there, and Leslie was like, you can't make the video like this. Well, that's the great thing about the Ampero. It is a touchscreen interface. And I think that on one hand, that is great. On the other hand, they did a couple of things where, for example, if you go to an amp list, which is a long-ass list of amps, the only way to scroll through it, I wish they would have had the continue style to scroll through it, but you actually have to swipe, which isn't brilliant. But the build quality of the Ampero is pretty awesome. I gotta say this is brushed aluminum, beautiful. This, the foot switches have colorful lights around them that change color. They are super solid. This, compared to the Mooers, is immediately, I did them right after each other, immediately, whoa, this is a different level kind of a thing. And then I discovered, wait a second, this is a touchscreen interface. That is nice. These are all continuous dials, which you can actually define what they do in terms of parameter, and that's very easy to do. Hold on, scroll to which effect block you want to do, what parameter you want, and bam, that's great. This is relatively easy to define. You can define this as an effect on-off, so you can say delay on and off, delay mix. If you don't want to mess with your sound, lock it. Your sound is locked. You can't edit it. You unlock it, click on that. This is also a clicky. So in terms of interface, 3, 1, volume, very simple because you do it all with a touchscreen. And with Mooer at $699, you get XLR. Here at $369, you get, right here, you get unbalanced out, you get aux in phones, you get a ground lift, you get MIDI, yes, and you get different input for acoustic, line, and electric, and it's got an expression too, which you can hook up. So pretty much what the GE200 also has an expression 2 input. So they're all kind of similar. However, this really impressed me with the build quality, with the size. If we look again versus the Helix, which of course isn't fair because this is the big kahuna. Now sound, you'd really have to A/B exactly the same kind of sound with the same kind of IR and all that crap. I think if you're in the market for Hotone Ampero, you're not in the market for a Helix. If you have your eyes on a Helix, you're not gonna look at the Hotone Ampero. Obviously, the Helix has digital out. It's got 4 loops too. It's a whole different monster. This is pretty damn neat for $369, especially because the user interface is very intuitive with touchscreen. So what I can offer you, I'm gonna show you some clips from the GE150 and the Ampero, which I just did. There are more on the market. You're gonna write, what about the? I will only really comment on something that I know, something that I've had in front of me. I think for $169, the GE150 is pretty damn dope. That's a no-brainer, if you ask me. I'm not breaking the bank. It's great for jamming. It's great for jamming at home. It's got drums in it. So has the Ampero, by the way. Better implementation, if you ask me. But this is a no-brainer if you're just looking for loads of sounds for not a lot of money. If you want more and higher build quality, but still not a bigger footprint, the Ampero is pretty damn awesome. And it makes you immediately feel as if you bought a higher grade product. I gotta say that. If you want, I'm gonna say it, if you want non-China, Line 6 is the way to go, but that's also more money. Personally, sound-wise, I would stay away from the Headrush. Test it out, check the sounds, do your own thinking, but it didn't floor me. And then there's loads more. But I can't talk about them because I don't know. Well, let's look at them sounds. So yeah, I could have done it all A-B here, but you know what? This isn't a super mega video about that. I just wanted to, I get a lot of questions and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. And also I have these things on the table and sometimes I'm pretty impressed. Like I am impressed with the GE150 for the money, and I'm impressed with the Ampero for, ow. Ow! If I now knew which one put a splinter in my finger and made me bleed, I have a metal splinter in my finger and I'm gonna die now. I'm literally gonna die.
Don't faint.
I'm not gonna faint, shut up! Which one did that? One of them put a metal splinter in my finger. That's the one that's gonna lose, that's it. Well, sadly, I can't tell you which one did that. I have these things on the table, and I was impressed by both of them in their own right, in their own price point, in their own usability and all that. Do with this video as you want. I put links below. No one paid me for this, but the links, of course, are getting me commission, so you should know this, and you should be happy about that, because that means I can bring you those videos. Thanks for watching, and animals at the end.